Okay, I'm recording this video lesson for this module's practice. You can find the practice file or the contents that you can use for this exercise in the module 4, and I had given you instruction that you can try on your own, but this is for those who may need step-by-step help with this practice, or for those who have tried on your own and maybe got stuck at some point. So watch this. Basically, we're using some video materials, two ways of using video. One is from YouTube and the other one is from lynda.com, or right now, actually now it's called LinkedIn Learning. So one is by using a link to the URL to the YouTube video. The other one is actually using iframe. So those are some of the more advanced ways of using video by using iframe. Okay, so here are the steps, and you will be asked to create a new lesson. So you go ahead and create a lesson. And you can name your first screen. Name the first screen as intro. So you can say intro screen. Okay. And also you want to name your practice. So this is a grammar check. And you might want to put your name after that to differentiate from others. Okay, so on this first one, what we are actually doing is that we will be insert a couple text regions that you can use, and you can just click on and say English grammar check. So once you have it, you can use different ways of making it bigger. One is by using a title or heading. The other one is just by going with the bigger fonts. Okay, go ahead and create another text box, and then this is where you can use the text from the exercise file, copy and paste, so that all you can type, but made it convenient for you to just kind of have an intro page here. So this is one of the intro page screen. Okay. And with this, so the button that will take you to the next screen is already there for you. So but to help people who may not know what to expect, then you can have either a pop-up. Remember we were talking about pop-up, or we can just simply insert another reminder text. So you can click here, say click on next. To start. Okay, remember any object on the screen, you can say you can give it maybe a different background. So that it will draw people's attention. Okay, so that is basically the first screen for this lesson. So next we will add, actually we're going to add a layer, because we're going to have multiple things under that layer. So we'll call this verb tense layer. Okay. Okay, underneath this layer, we're going to have our first page, and we call it past perfect tense. We're going to actually start with multiple choice. Okay. Okay. For this screen, we are going to actually be using let's introduce, because we have those default input, but what we'd like you to do is actually go into the components. Actually, I'm going to be using from the components. Let's not use the components for now. Let's just use the input, and let's just do the multiple choice. Okay, so this is the past perfect tense. So we would also want to, so the name of the screen is here for you to identify for the program too, but for the viewers, you would also want to add the text saying past perfect tense. Well, actually, you probably would not want to give away what they're trying to do, so let's just say verb tenses. And you could actually, what I might want to do, because this is a layer, you're going to have multiple screens on here, so I'm going to actually copy this and delete this text box, and actually go on the layer and actually paste it in here, or put the text box in here. And I can just use something. Actually, I might want to do a little bigger. So this layer is our verb tenses, and then if I add another screen, for instance, if I add another screen to it, then I can say this is a present tense. Then you can see this one, verb tense, we already have the multiple choice option here, and then this one, so they're all sharing this layer heading. Okay, so we're going to be working on here. And we're going to actually, you will need a text box for the sentence for you to complete. So I will, so here's the John so fill in the blank with the choices for the company for 30 years before he retired last December. So okay, so here's the question, and here are the choices. Remember, adding choices is just by actually just click on here. You have all the options, and remember you can add options. So in this case, actually we're going to have 4 options. So the first one will say worked. For the second one, we'll say has worked. Third option, had worked. And for you can have even more. So was working. Okay. So here is how you set up the question. All right. Okay, so the verb tense layer, you can continue to add others, but then what we're going to do is the student will come to this page, will answer this question. If they got it right, then they will move on. But if they didn't get it right, then they're going to be directed to a remedial page where they're going to watch a video tutorial on the past perfect tense. Okay, so in this case, out of the 4 options, option 3 is the correct one. Okay, so we're going to set up the trap states and the correct states. So what we're going to do is first we're going to add another screen, which is really not part of this layer, because this layer is reserved for presenting questions. So we're going to go to the outside of this layer. So you will click on here, and then when you add a screen, notice this screen is lined up with the layer, so they're at the same level. Whereas if you collapse the layer, you can see the sub screens inside are hidden, and then this layer is not. So this is verb tense. We're going to say verb tense remediation. We're going to name it verb tense remediation. Okay, so on here we're actually going to insert a YouTube video. Okay, so here's now we're going to say first, just give a title. In here we'll say please watch the tutorial on past perfect tense in English. Okay. We're going to make it a little bigger, so we're going to use the subheading text. And then we're going to insert a video player. So we're going to put it here, and then in the URL is given in the file for you, the contents file for this exercise. Then you will copy and paste the URL here. And because this video is actually much longer, and you really just need them to watch a portion of it. Okay, so the place that will start is at start time is 240, so basically at the 4 minutes mark, and they really also needed to watch that section to about 288. So this is the area that they will be required to watch, and they will auto start at the right place. So this is the example of you have a longer YouTube video, but you can extract a small portion of it for a particular section of learning, so students don't get frustrated by not finding the the right place. Okay. Okay, so we have another video source that is more in-depth. So if you want to make that available, then you will add another screen. You'll add another screen, and we'll call it the in-depth review. Of verb tenses. So for this video, because it's much longer and it's not from the from YouTube, rather it's from a more it's from Lynda.com. Now it's changed to LinkedIn Learning, but it's much longer video, and then therefore we'll put it in the iframe. So we want to use this to introduce the iframe. So when we click on insert, and we have this iframe, then that you can also change you can change the size, and again we'll put a text box, say here is a complete review of verbal tenses from Lynda.com. Okay, because Lynda.com videos are not open to everybody, so you would, and it is a more embedded video. So basically we're using iframe for embedding a video. Okay, let me just change that to something slightly bigger. And also from your text, you basically have the text, where for now we will not go into detail, but you can, for those who know the who know how iframe and coding works, you can look into that. But what we will do is just copy and paste that line of text into the into the source URL text box. So if you want to learn to embed anything, actually it doesn't have to be just video, but if you have, like, for instance, like a web page, or you have something that's hosted on your own site, then what you want to do is take a look at the language that you just copied and how the embedding will work. So you could try with some other URL and or non-video sources. Okay. All right, so that's basically what we're going to do here. But what I have also, what we're going to be doing is actually I want to set it up, because we haven't set up the trap states yet. What I want to do is actually now, after this one, we're going to add a new layer for the next segment in the lesson. We will not complete it, but we want to set up, because you really want to set up all the screens before your trap states and the correct state can go. Basically, if somebody came to the verb tense layer and got it all correct, then they will go on to the next layer, which we're going to name this one participles. So participle layer. Okay, in the participle layer, then we're going to have the first screen, then we'll name this one past or present participle. So we're going to set this one up. It will be very similar. So on this past or present, we're going to always start with some text. So I'm going to prompt for the user to say, is it the past or present participle? Okay, for this one, we're going to try the fill in the blank. So we have fill in the blank from the component. Actually, you can see there is, under the basic input, you have this drop down, multiple text, true, false, multiple choice. So if you can't find the fill in the blank, then it's going to be under the component, because the component and the basic input, they all are input types. It's just there are more under the components, and you can click on more, and you actually can go on their website to look for more. So we're going to be using the fill in the blank component. Okay, it puts the component on the screen, and you can move to position it, and then when you click on configure, so you basically can type in the text and then specify where you want to add fill in the blank place for people to make to make a selection. So let's say here is the sentence with a couple participles that you need to determine which one is the appropriate one. Okay. So we can say Mary told me that Gone with the Wind was, and now at this point you see you can either add a drop down or you can ask people to type. So for beginners or for easier experience on the part of the student, then you don't want it to be wide open, so you will add a drop down. So the drop down, in the drop down option will be, okay, the first is interesting, and then you add an option. So the second one, so yeah, option 2 will be interested. There's a typo here, interested. Okay, so basically this drop down, there are 2 for you to choose from, and you can keep adding if you want more choices, and then you can continue to type. What's an interesting movie? And ask if I would go watch it with her, but I wasn't. Okay, now add another one. So you add another option there, so you can click on to change. So first one is I wasn't the same. Interesting. Then you add another option. So, and interested. So what you would also want to do, so you want to specify which one is correct. So for this one, interested is correct option, and for the first option, it is so you always pick the correct answer in this variant, so they can be judged. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so we build this. We build this so that we can set up the trapping. Okay, so here's how it goes. Student come to the intro page, they get some instruction, and they will move on to the next layer. They will go to this, take this quiz item. If they got it correct, then they will bypass the remediation and they will go on to the present tense. We haven't built that one, and when they successfully finish this layer and they got it all right, then they will skip the remediation part and they will move on to the next section, which is the participle layer. So with this set, then we're ready to set the trap state. Okay, to set the trap state will be on basically on the screen where choices are made and different routes are then directed. Okay, so let's move on to the state. So we'll start with the correct state. Remember, we need to click on the action. We need to click on the current action. So the current action right now is actually we don't want to do this because let me just get out of this first, because we haven't clicked at what we do is we want to click on this, the target, because what happened when I first clicked is that I didn't highlight which object we're setting the the states with. So with this one, okay, now that we have it in place, then you want to click on this one. When you click on this, it basically the stage, meaning now you have multiple objects in this lesson. Then you want to, the stage referring to the current screen, because a lot of times you want to go to different screen. For instance, here we're going to go to those later on, but for now, basically, I remember we haven't really changed the MCQ. So if there's just one object on the screen, then you know which one you're talking about. But when you have multiple ones, for instance, when you have another object, then you're going to be listed here, and if they're all named MCQ, then it might be confusing. So that's when you need to give it a unique name. So for now, we know that is, and if you say to select the choice, okay, so that is what we're going to be talking about, or we're going to be using the condition for. So here, the stage, meaning the current screen, the object is a multiple choice question, and then the criteria we're using is select the choice. So in this case, we're setting the correct state. So the number is 3, because the third option is the correct one. Then with that one set, then the action will be, if you got it correct, that means then we're going to add some feedback. So we're going to say, great job. And then they got it correct. So basically, then they will bypass. They will bypass and go to the next layer. So where is the next layer? So when we click on here, we'll click on, because this is going to the next available screen, and that is not the next available screen is present tense. So, and that will be the case if we have it set up, but for now we don't have it set up. So we'll bypass this actually, and then for now, let's just say for it to jump directly to the participle layer. So what we do is we're going to say go to another screen instead of the next screen. So we click and go to the next screen, it changes to go to screen and select the screen. And all the screens are listed here. And then you go to the participle layer, or you actually can go to, you can expand the participle layer, and you can go directly to the past or present. So that's the set for the correct path. Let me explain how this will go. So if you're on this screen, you made the right choice, you'll bypass all the remediation or the contents you're asked to review, and you go on to the next phase or the next section. Okay, so that is set for the correct state. Okay, now we need to set if students did not select anything. So that let's add a state saying it's a trap state, and we'll call it no student response. So this is one of the trap states, meaning one, you want to stop the user and do something. So if they did not make any choice, because that happens, people want to skip, they just keep clicking on the next button. So you want to stop them, then ask them to do things. So what you will do is you will add a condition. You have the current action, and you want to say the stage, and you want to say selected the number of selected choices. Basically, you want to say the number of selected choices is equal to 0, meaning nothing is selected. When this happens, then the action you basically want to provide a feedback. Say, please select one of the choices. So this basically stop the user, and they will have to do something. Okay. And you notice there's also a default state. So default state is really, you don't want to delete it because you want to basically stop people when something that you couldn't anticipate but happened. Because if you don't have this, then this loop will go into like an infinite loop because it can't get out. So this is kind of stopgap. This is not meant for you to really provide feedback. This is just say, try again, do something else. At least it will stay on this page. Okay, so we want to add above that. So basically, if you look at the adaptivity section, you start with the initial state that we haven't got to it yet, and end with the default state. And then the states are checked sequentially from top to bottom. So you want to check the correct state first, okay? And then all the incorrect or trap states following that. So you have a no response, and then you will create another trap state, basically just say wrong choice or wrong choices. So with this one is a trap state, and you add a condition, and the condition will be just opposite from the correct one. So you can say current, you're selecting multiple choice, and you can select the choice. So when the selected choice under this is, you can put down say is and is not. So when you say the selected choice is not 3, that means if you choose 1, 2, or 4, then you will all be incorrect. Then you'll be asked to review. But if you really want to make each choice unique, then you can set a trap state for each choice they made. And I would highly recommend that you look really carefully at this option, because this is truly the power of adaptive learning feature, is that it allows you to give very specific contents based on the choices, not just right or wrong. But for this practice, I'm just making it simple and just making 1. Okay, so when you have this, then you will say you want to have some action. So what do you want the action? So you can say you can ask me to try multiple times. So you can say not quite. Please try one more time. Okay. Okay, since our feedback, if a student got it wrong the first time, then you want them to try again. How do you determine how many times they can try? So there is a setting for the screen that basically, before you move on to the next screen, you can specify how many times that they can try before they will say, well, that's enough for trying, and then you move on. So if you go to the screen menu, and here is one, is basically you have maximum attempts. So people can try up to 4 times that by default, but if you say you tried 3 times, actually I would say reduce to 2. If you tried 2 times and you still didn't get it right, then you will be directed to the remedial page. So here's where you can set, and we have other things. And for instance, later on we'll talk about scoring. When you use the trap state to score, then you will have this feature. But for now, at least I want you to know where you can set number of tries on a particular screen. So when I set this one to 2, then after 2 tries, if you didn't get it correct, then you will be directed to the remedial page. Okay, let's continue to set up. So I show you where you can decide how many tries people can have. So we still need to direct people when they're correct, when they're not correct, and they have tried made 2 attempts. Then you want to add another action to direct them to a new screen. So this is when they didn't get it right, and they will be taken to the remedial verb tense remediation. Okay, so basically they got it wrong, and we since we have 2 remediation videos, you can also set if they didn't get it right the first time, and then they didn't get the second time, you're going to this, and then you can also redirect them back after the verb tense remediation. You can take them back to this screen and for them try again. If they still made error, then you can have them go to the in-depth remediation. Okay. All right, so we can give it a try now. So let's click on the preview. Actually, I should have, if you are on a particular screen and you realize that you probably should start from the beginning, you can by clicking on the screens. So even in the preview mode, you have access to all the screens. So say I want to start from here. Okay. So when you want to start from here, now you can collapse this one. But this screen basically, it just say click on next to go to this. So for this one, let's make the first choice the wrong choice. Okay. So it has worked. Let's click on checking it. It said not quite. Please try one more time. So it asks it to try one more time. Now, if I got it correct, then you will go to the participle section. If you got it wrong again, so I'm going to make another wrong choice and click on that. And then that's the second time, then you are taken to the remediation. Okay. I think we didn't set where we want to go from here, then it will go to the in-depth, but we can use the in-depth actually as a second round of review. And so this is the second layer, in-depth, and so after this is sequential. Then you went to the past, present, and the participle. So in here we haven't set this one up, but I want to stop here so that you get a complete practice. You can go on to set this one up, and when they made the wrong choice, then they will be taken to the remediation. And I do have a YouTube video for the participle tutorial that you can use. I'm going to stop here, and hopefully that you can follow this tutorial and complete this hands-on exercise.